Okay, so what is the Islamic dilemma? What is that? Where did it come from? Because it's everywhere online right now.
That's something we've been trying to popularize for a long, long time. And you can find it mentioned by Christians going way back. People who they're not putting it like that. They're usually not. They haven't weaponized it. We've weaponized it. We've weaponized it. But you have had Christians all along pointing out, hey, you guys are attacking our Bible and saying that our Bible's been corrupted. Your Quran doesn't say that. Why are you attacking our Bible when your Quran affirms our scriptures, which it does? Right? So just to give the history in a nutshell, not on the Islamic dilemma, but on what the Quran says, the Quran nowhere criticizes our scriptures. There are a couple verses they point to that aren't about our scriptures being corrupted, but you can see how they're like interpreting it that way. Like it'll say, and they distort their scriptures and so on. If you actually read what this stuff means, we distort our scriptures with our speech. Because back then it was understood, hey, Jews have their book and it's in Hebrew, and Christians have their book, but it's in a couple different languages by the time you get to Islam. So it's in Greek, it's in Latin and so on. It's in Syriac and so on. It's in different languages, but not in Arabic. And so if you wanted to know from a Jew what the Torah says, you had to ask a Jew. How do you know if that Jew's telling you the truth? You don't. You can't verify it. You can't verify. You can't read his book. You don't speak Hebrew. You don't speak the language necessary to understand. And so the accusation when they would have a disagreement is these people are misrepresenting their scriptures. They're distorting it. And it became, you just can't trust them. And by the way, according to the Quran, and this is something your average Muslim doesn't even know that. It's all over the Quran. I mean, it's all over the Quran. The actual position of the Quran is Allah has sent prophets into all the world. Every nation has had its prophet. Everyone had their revelations in their language. The last people to get their revelation were the Arabs. So it's just like Allah's sending prophets over time to different groups and stuff. And everyone on the planet had their revelation except the Arabs at that time. And that's why Muhammad is the final prophet. He's the seal of the prophets. The Arabs were just the last to get their guy. And now everyone has their guy. Everyone on the planet has their prophet and their revelation. And you even see this, and the point of that specifically was, if you don't have something in your language that you can read and understand for yourself, you're taking someone else's word for it. How do you know you're getting someone honest? How do you know you're getting someone who's not twisting and distorting your scriptures? You need it in your own language. And so there are even parts of the Quran, Surah 5, verse 43. Surah 5, verse 43, some Jews come to Muhammad to settle a dispute because they didn't want to judge by the Torah because the penalty was stoning. And they try to avoid it. So they come to Muhammad and say, hey, what are we going to do about this? And Allah's response is Surah 5, verse 43. He says, why are Jews coming to you when they have the Torah? Now think about that. Why are they coming to you, Muhammad, when they've got the Torah? They've got their book. Why would they come to you? You've got the book for the Arabs. And just a few verses later, Christians are told to judge by the gospel. And that's the attitude of the Quran. It's everyone has their revelation in their language. You have to follow what's revealed in your language, right?
Okay.
That's the actual position of the Quran. But Muslims eventually, so the early Muslims...
That's making it sound like Muhammad isn't interested in, say, conquering the Jews or Christians because they have their prophet, they have theirs.
He wants to conquer the Jews and Christians.
Okay, so that's not what he meant then, right? Presumably when Allah
That's not the reason for conquering the Jews and the Christians, right?
Okay.
So if you want to follow this, everyone has their revelation. The Arabs are the last to get their revelation. Then they get the Quran in Arabic. They've got their prophet in Arabic. And then Jews, you don't need Muhammad. You've got your book. Christians, you don't need Muhammad. You've got your book. But we don't need you guys because we've got our book. Now we all have our revelation, right? Muhammad, when he's in Mecca, so you got Saudi Arabia, you got what's now Saudi Arabia, then it's just the Arabian Peninsula. You got this little tiny town called Mecca. That's where Muhammad's from. At first, he's surrounded by pagans. And he's telling but pagans knew about Jews and Christians. There were Jews and Christians in the Arabian Peninsula. And Muhammad is a caravan trader. You got the caravans and stuff. These guys are familiar with Jews and Christians preaching monotheism. And so Muhammad comes out when he starts preaching in Mecca, and he's saying, hey, I'm in the same line of prophets that were sent to everyone else. Allah's been sending prophets all along. And he's sent prophets to the Jews, the Christians, they had Jesus. And now I'm here for the Arabs. And when the Christians and Jews see me, because it's all pagans right now, when we run into the Jews and Christians are going to affirm me. They're going to say, wow, you're the prophet to the Arabs that we've been waiting for. Because he thinks they're all on the same page, that they all had their prophets and they're just waiting. Oh, we need the Arab prophet. And so he thinks the Jews and Christians are all waiting on him and that that he was prophesied in their scriptures. And he's saying, when they see me, they'll recognize me. They'll be like, oh, you're the one that we've been waiting for. So that's what he's telling his people for over a decade in Mecca. He's propped up the Jews and the Christians as the ones who are going to confirm him when they see him. Well, 622 AD, the Muslim community moves from Mecca to Medina. They moved to Medina, and there were 3 Jewish tribes. And Muhammad's like, all right, guys, I'm here. And they're, who are you? He's, I'm the one from your scriptures. And what are you talking about? Yeah, the Arab prophet from your scriptures. What are you talking about? And I mean, he put the confidence of his people in the Jews and Christians and how they're going to react to him. And the Jews and Christians, I mean, the Jews there going, we don't know anything about you. Think about this. If Muhammad and his community are completely confident that he is clearly prophesied in their scriptures, and they're all saying, no, we have no idea who you are, what's that mean? It means they're lying. They know he's in their scriptures. And they're lying about him because they don't want people following the truth, which means they're actually enemies of God. It's not their scriptures. Their scriptures are talking about Muhammad all over the place.
Yeah.
But they know it. Yeah. And they know these Arabs can't look into it because they can't read it. And they're lying to all these Arabs to keep all these Arabs from following the truth. So these guys aren't on the same side with God. These guys are enemies of God who are trying to lead people astray.
So the problem isn't the scriptures, but these individuals.
And these guys have to be subjugated because they're spreading their evil. And so at that point in the Quran, the message, so if you go to the Meccan passages, here's the vibe you get from the Meccan passages. The way it looks to Muslims it's going to be Muslims, Christians, and Jews all united against all the polytheists, the pagans, everyone else. That's how it's going to be. Then he gets there and he finds out, nope, the Jews are saying I'm not a prophet and I'm just a joke to them. Okay. Now, and that's where it changes. It's in the Quran, Surah 5, verse 82. Then it becomes, it's going to be Christians and Muslims united against Jews and polytheists. And then he interacts with more Christians who make fun of him too. And then, okay, it's Muslims against everyone and everyone else has to be subjugated.
It's that meme. Am I a joke to you?
Yep.
So this narrative, I hadn't ever heard this before, but that shouldn't surprise anybody because I haven't looked into this a great deal. This idea that he was of the opinion that the Jews and the Christians would recognize him as the final prophet, or was that not part of the narrative in the beginning?
That's exactly what we're supposed to do.
In the beginning?
We're all waiting. Yeah, everyone is waiting. It's just, everyone's basically waiting.
And then
this new prophet's going to show up and he's going to be the final prophet. And then we've got all our prophets. We've got all the prophets.
Then they encounter the Jews. They don't see him in the scriptures. They think the Jews are lying. Same thing happens with the Christians. So this whole narrative that you're telling me, is this in the Quran or is this what Muslim
Everything
scholars...
I said is in the Quran. Now, it's hard to, sometimes you need to go outside of the Quran to understand the historical background of various situations and stuff like this. But yes, everything I just said is in the Quran about everyone having their revelations, Muhammad being the last to receive his revelation. And at that point, it's Jews, you judge by your book, Christians, you judge by your book, we have our book, and now we've all got a book in our own language, and that way no one can deceive us.
And is the idea that the Jews and Christians, the Torah and is it Injil, is that what they call
Injil.
it? Injil, sorry.
Little side note, Injil is the Arabic transliteration of Evangelion.
Ah, okay.
Gospel.
Yeah. So is the idea that these books point to the truth of him being the final prophet?
The books are good as gold. Okay. You can't trust the people.
I see.
Right?
Yep.
But guess what? Muhammad's followers aren't in a position
to read them,
to check the books.
Yeah.
So they're taking his word for it. So the original position of the Quran is not that Jews and Christians have corrupt scriptures. The position of the Quran is everyone has reliable scriptures, but these guys lie about it, they misinterpret it, they distort it, and your average person can't read, so they don't know they're being lied to.
And give us some proof of this. I mean, you've referenced it, but I mean, how certain are you that the Quran is saying that these scriptures haven't been perverted?
That's all the Quran ever says, and it never says anything else.
Cool.
Right? And so, I mean, you have it as clear, the clearest claims in the Quran, because there's lots of the Quran that's confusing. The clearest claims in the Quran are claims about the Jewish and Christian scriptures. Wow. So I'll give a number of references that people can look up. Some of the important ones. So Surah 2, verse 85. This is Muhammad's talking to the Jews of Medina. So this is the first chapter revealed after Muhammad moves to Medina and he's interacting with the Jews. Now, the situation you had with the Jews in Medina is you had 3 Jewish tribes and 2 Arab tribes. 2 of the Jewish tribes were allies of one Arab tribe, and the other Jewish tribe was an ally of the other Arab tribe. Well, those 2 Arab tribes constantly fought. And so what would happen is you'd have 2 Arab tribes fighting, and then you'd have Jews on each side, and they'd end up fighting each other. And then they'd be taking captives ransom, holding captives for ransom, and so on. And the Jews, no matter which tribe they were in, they would ransom their fellow Jews if they'd been taken captive. And he's like, why are you fighting them to begin with? You're not supposed to be fighting your fellow Jews and then having to ransom them and stuff. But Surah 2, verse 85, he starts off in verse 84. He's bringing up, hey, how come you guys are doing stuff that you're not supposed to do according to the Torah? Yeah, you're supposed to ransom your captive, but you shouldn't have been fighting your captives and stuff. And then after criticizing them for being hypocrites, he says, do you then believe in part of your book and not in all of it? He says, if you only believe in parts and not all of it, I'll send you to hell. And it's like, wait a minute. If you had a corrupt book, how would Allah be telling you to believe in all of it and not just parts? Because what every Muslim will tell you is you need to go to the Torah and find all the parts that agree with Islam.
Yeah, today they'll say that. Yeah,
you need to find all the parts that agree with Islam. Those are the parts you're supposed to believe. And wait a minute, Allah, if I do what you say, modern Muslim telling Jews and Christians to just believe in the parts of our book that align with Islam, your God says he'll send us to hell for doing that. He says, I will send you to hell if you do not believe in all of it. Right? And you find this throughout that entire chapter. So it's Surah 2, verse, you can read all of 40 to 44 in that section. So I'm talking all about Surah 2, chapter 2, the longest chapter of the Quran. Verses 40 to 44, you get to verse 85. That's where he says, if you only believe in parts of your book, I'll send you to hell. You have to believe in all of it. Then it's verse 89, it's verse 91, it's verse 97, it's 101, it's 121. Over and over and over again, he's saying that you have to believe in your book. And in these passages, he's also making it the main argument, and this is throughout the Quran, the main argument for why Jews and Christians should believe in Muhammad and the Quran. And there's not even a close second. The main argument that the Quran gives for why Jews and Christians should accept Muhammad as a prophet is that he's affirming our scriptures. It's, hey, I'm affirming your scriptures. Why aren't you affirming me? What's wrong with you? Now, keep in mind, if Muslims are right and he's just saying, oh, the parts that agree with me, I'm affirming. Well, anyone could do that. One, it's already a bad argument. It's already a bad argument if I say, hey, I affirm your scriptures, therefore you should affirm me. Every cult leader ever says that, right? Hey, I affirm your Bible, now affirm me. Well, no, thank you, because you have all this extra stuff that contradicts our Bible, right? So understand just me saying, hey, I affirm your book is not a good reason. It's way, 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 way worse. It's 1,000 times worse if I'm not even affirming your book. I'm saying, hey, you should affirm my revelations because I'm affirming your book. Oh, by the way, I'm not really affirming your book. I'm just affirming the parts that agree with me. That would be the dumbest argument ever. It's the main argument of the Quran. He uses this over and over and over again. Believe in Muhammad, believe in the Quran, because he's affirming your scriptures, all of it.
Thank you very much for watching that Pints with Aquinas clip. If you like it, do me a favor, click like and subscribe, and please offer a Hail Mary for the work of Pints with Aquinas and all the people we're trying to reach. God bless you.